There are two main wars going on at the moment. We always like to have a mix of wars going on, and we've done a lot of coverage of Ukraine and Russia recently because that's where all the excitement's been going with diplomatic talks in the UK.
It's a bit topical, isn't it?
It's very, very topical. But let's not forget that the other big conflict is still affecting us, and I would say outside of the diplomatic area that Ukraine occupies, on a more ground level in the UK, because we are the UK. We are no longer Britain. We are no longer England. We live in the UK. And you can't go to any major city without the potential, the high likelihood, especially if it's a weekend, running into some kind of pro-Palestinian march. And so it does pervade a lot of society. I remember even before I was up to date with these things, when I was working in a call center. Of course, call centers have very diverse range of people who work there. There would be people coming in wearing their Free Palestine hats before I even really knew what was going on there. But outside of the two wars, make sure not to get engulfed in the third war that will emerge when Islander sells out, which it will, because it's selling very well right now, because it's a very, very high-quality magazine filled with informative and intellectually stimulating articles that you can get a hold of right now for a limited time on our website for the cheap, cheap price of $14.99. If you don't get one now, there will be riots in the street trying to get hold of the last few copies. So make sure you avoid that and get it while you still can right now. Anyway, so let's take a look at some of the ways that it's affecting our current discourse in the UK with Israel-Palestine. And I think after that, I'll also look into why it is that this particular conflict erupted in the first place, because we send a lot of money. Obviously not the entire history.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to take a while.
There is a martyr-made podcast series that's about 30 hours going into that. We're not going to match anything.
I mean, we did a 3-hour one on the origins of the conflict, didn't we? We went back to the Roman times.
Start at Moses.
Which you should watch. It's excellent stuff. No, more the 7th of October itself, because Israel and the IDF have been doing some inquiries recently that have been pointing to the complete and utter failure of the IDF itself and its lieutenant general in charge to pass down information that they already had prior to 2023, information that they actually had from 2022. They failed to pass down any of that information to the people on the ground who could have prevented the massacre that occurred.
So it's interesting that you're bringing this up, because I remember that was a very live topic in the days following October the 7th. There was
not been spoken about much since.
Yeah, there was loads of former was it IDF people coming up and saying, I just don't understand how this possibly could have happened. You know, I served in the IDF. It's simply not functionally possible.
As far as I know, Israel is a very militaristic society because they need to be to defend their borders. They are always on high alert. And they, as confirmed by the New York Times and other publications and other members of the IDF, they had plans that Hamas strictly stuck to in 2022, explaining exactly what they were going to do on the 7th of October, maybe not pointing to that date specifically, and didn't do anything with it. They dismissed it as whimsical dreams.
Yeah, but it's really weird. This story just simply vanished. So I'm glad you're covering it. Whatever you got for us.
One of the things I remember, and it might be complete conspiracy theory, I don't know. I just remember it being in the news cycle. It might be complete nonsense. I really don't know. But I remember in the days after it happened, apparently Israel, at loads of their checkpoints or loads of their border walls and things, they've got sort of automatic machine gun type things. And there would seem to be evidence, again, it might all be lies and misinformation, I really don't know, but that they would been de-armed or deactivated, or they'd had their ammo taken out, or all sorts of suspicious things. And again, in the news directly, the day it was happening, and the next few days, a week or so, and then never heard anything about that ever again.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was deliberate, whether it was like super squirrel Hamas stuff, or whether the Israelis did it to themselves because they wanted some sort of false flag, or what. God, I don't know.
That's the question, because it seems to me like a complete failure on their part to protect their own citizens, which should be the main goal of a government. I know we live in the West, we live in Europe, it's not what we're used to anymore, but Israel seems dedicated to protecting its citizens and protecting its people. This was a complete failure, so the question is, was it due to negligence and bad management, essentially, or is it a more conspiratorially minded allowing something to happen in the hopes that it allows them justification so they can go in and bulldoze Gaza as they have been doing ever since.
Or Hamas are the masters of 5D chess and just completely outwitted them on multiple levels.
Presented themselves as retarded, released the exact plans that they were going to do. Israel dismisses them as too retarded to do it, retarded enough to actually go through with it. That would be an incredible plan. I don't know how you would manage that when you're a bunch of sand people in an open-air prison in the desert. But, you know, that would be very, very impressive. But before we get on to that, so some of the developments that keep going on recently in the UK is things like this. We've got actors like this one from The Crown called Khalid Abdallah, very, very British name right there, who's been interviewed by the police over attending a pro-Palestine Gaza rally, because this is the sort of thing that I want our cultural representatives, because we're all represented by Khalid Abdallah, to be doing. And he then complained about this by saying that the right to protest is under attack in this country. That's funny. I'm sure he must have been speaking up last August, right?
Well, yeah, bloody Southport. I mean,
is it the right to protest is something he cares about, or only when it's affecting his people? Because I feel like he doesn't consider the people who were killed in Southport his people, if he wasn't out on the streets protesting.
Routinely, I mean, is it actually illegal to attend a Palestinian rally? I mean, would have thought not.
So he went to a Palestine Solidarity Campaign protest in January and received a letter from the Met Police to attend a formal interview, saying it will remain to be seen if this results in charges.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
like he must have done something. Then you don't, because you are allowed to just go to that.
I thought so. Yeah.
Peaceful,
so maybe
it's been arranged. That's not illegal, is it?
But also, obviously, I disagree with taking people in by the police for attending a protest, but that's pretty light stuff compared to what was done to everybody in August, right?
Oh, yeah.
All of the people who were just standing at the side of the road near the police getting hoovered up so that they could say that they'd made arrests.
People who said a crossword towards the police, jailed for 36 months, routine.
Yes. Some of whom have died in prison already.
Yes.
Yeah. So, thanks very much for that one. We also get it in our universities, where we've got protesters disrupting everything that they can, and this will also include idiotic white English liberals who want to get involved in this so they can feel like they're making a difference. Not that they care about the things happening to their own homeland or their own people, but they want to make a difference. And so in this, it's Cambridge University have barred them from interrupting a graduation ceremony.
Is this a thing that lots of Brits have to live with? Is lots of, you know, these Palestinian type sympathisers making a lot of noise? I mean, you said you've encountered them a lot in your career.
Yeah, when I've been to Manchester on the weekends, they're always there. Depending on which part of London that you're in on a weekend, I'm sure that you'll run into protests all the time. If you're in universities where everybody is already, you know, woke lefty, then you're likely to encounter this sort of stuff.
I spent most of my career surrounded by lawyers and finance people, and there wasn't a strong contingent of Palestinian support in that crowd.
I imagine there might have been a bit of a problem with snow blindness as well, so it might have
yes,
hazy division a little bit.
I went to Bath a few weeks ago, and yeah, lo and behold, outside Bath Cathedral, there was a little stand, pro-Gaza stand.
Right.
And it's a little one, but
Bath,
it's still
of all
places,
Bath.
Why should it be in Bath? Yeah. Why should it be in any of these cities? Even Manchester, I know it's got a reputation as a very miserable industrial place. I still love parts of it, and it is still one of our historic cities. We shouldn't be permeated with this stuff constantly. The BBC as well are in trouble with counter-terror police because they did a documentary about Palestine, and the production company, Hoyo Films, had a 13-year-old narrator that they paid. And the 13-year-old narrator just happened to be the son of the Hamas Deputy Minister for Agriculture.
Oh, right. And how much was he paid?
We don't know yet, because it described the sum as limited, but declined to put a value on it. So the BBC just accidentally
£1 billion
paying
£1 billion
paying
is a
Hamas.
limited number. Every number below infinity is a limited number.
Well, we just don't know.
Yes,
We just don't know. I'm sure it wasn't £1 billion.
No.
I don't. Maybe US aid have been giving Hamas.
Well, yes. I mean, that's the sort of thing that they did, isn't it? They just channeled money to friends of terrorists.
I think Vorsh did that as well.
Yeah, did he?
I think he's a Twitch streamer, and I think he did a charity stream where it turned out the charity was basically Hamas.
Right. Okay.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Apparently, it's very difficult not to give money to Hamas.
Just when I didn't think I could have a lower opinion of Volsh, you go and
I mean,
hit me with that one.
I mean, he said, I can't believe that you can have a lower opinion of Vorsh.
I didn't think I could, no, but lo and behold.
So is he that one who gets his wife cuckolded on air, or is that another one?
That was Destiny.
Oh, I see. Okay. Now, I mean, it's a great shame that there is these desert sort of people fighting amongst themselves. I mean, it is a terrible shame, but it's not really anything to do with me.
Well, yeah,
or by people. And
yeah, why are they here?
Why can't all the fighting be done over there? If they must fight,
why is the BBC giving money to them?
Well,
why is it that they can protest here and they can make stands of solidarity here, but they're not signing up?
Well, yes,
which is somewhat like those Ukraine war hawks in Canada. I can think of one.
The armchair generals. Yeah,
the armchair generals, who the second, or the old Warhawk boomer types, where you point out, well, I mean, if you're so eager to defend the oblasts and take them back from Russia, you can sign up. It's very, very, apparently that's an emotional and illogical argument, whereas to me it makes perfect sense.
Meanwhile, there are tens, if not hundreds of thousands of young British lads who are like, I would like to sign up to defend my country, if it means defending my borders, but nobody's given me that opportunity, so I can't.
Sorry, that's just going to have to be another 800 billion of rearmament for Europe, so that we can defend against Russia while flooding all of our countries.
Yes,
with
you say it's nothing to do with us, but the Science-Picot Agreement, the British mandate in Palestine, so therefore it's always our problem for the rest of time.
So counterpoint, well, I mean, I don't care.
I know.
I mean, if we're going to, get the empire back going and decide that they're going to be some kind of British colonial territory that we administer,
yes,
maybe then I'd be signing up for it and going, yes, please, adventure, action, excitement, yes. But no, that's.
I wouldn't mind being the viceroy of India, but I think I'd be quite good at it.
You do have the constitution for it, I reckon.
Give me a stiff collar and a cane and a
harem of women.
Cavalry group. Yes, yes.
Only the best, though. Only the best for Ardan. One of the most annoying things that happened recently was this, as reported by the UK Aesthetics page, that this was a beauty spot in the Yorkshire Moors where a bunch of people had painted a Palestinian flag, and I think you can see the Palestinian flag on the image underneath. Yep, there you go. Free Palestine, just going to our natural areas of beauty. I know Britain's got a bad reputation, but it is an extremely beautiful country, and just defacing it with their political propaganda. And when people were annoyed at this, you get responses like this. It's just a piece of rock.
If it's just a piece of rock, it seems rather unlikely the Israelis, the Benjamin Netanyahu is going to be wandering past on his holidays on the Yorkshire Moors, see that and immediately recognise the error of his ways.
He's going to be hit by a pang of conscience.
Yes. So it's both just a piece of rock and also worth doing in the first place of defacing our sort of natural beauty.
It's the first argument of the retarded shit lib.
The black stone in the Kaaba. It's just a bit of rock.
It's just a bit of rock.
A bit of rock. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, who cares? Like this one, like this Mr. Bungle right here, great band, says, it's just a book. I'm confused. It's just a book. It's just a flag. Who cares?
Checkmate, bitch.
But I have to say, this story actually has a little bit of a happy ending, which is that a few gentlemen from a party that I shan't name exactly actually found the area after they were told where it was and cleaned it up.
Nice. Good for them.
Nice.
Yeah, cleaned it up. While also pointing out, and I agree with this, that the people who did this should be sent back to the desert. If they're so eager for it to be free, well, guess what? You can sign up for the effort right this moment, in fact. But again, with all of this going on where it's just affecting, even in minor ways, people's day-to-day in this country, where there are all these people who are very, very supportive of foreign conflict that, you know, if they were just as English as you and I, shouldn't really concern them, shouldn't be at the front of their mind all the time. Again, it's interesting to look into why the 7th of October happened, and what started this new phase of the conflict that's been going on for the past few years now. And that's exactly what Shin Bet, who are the Israel Security Agency, have been looking into. They've been doing an October 7th probe, and it's a report that will be, I think, spoken about on next Tuesday. So regarding some of the stuff that you brought up, regarding some of the military attachments and automatic machine guns that may or may not have been tampered with, I assume they will be touching on that. I would hope that they're touching on that if they want to be thorough. But for the time being, Haaretz have this article talking about what has been found, which is that the investigations, some of which have been published on Monday, had made it clear that Hamas was able to surprise the Israeli military thanks to the decline in procedural discipline and what border units were being called on to do. We forgot how to defend, according to one of the investigators. What Hamas managed to achieve was fundamental surprise, a coordinated assault of Kafar, Aza, Nahal Oz, and dozens of other communities and army bases with no relevant intelligence warnings reaching the forces in the field. From the general staff down to the territorial brigade, people actually were aware of the worrying signs, but they didn't take them seriously enough, nor did they pass this information down to the battalions and companies. So by the sounds of it, a complete procedural failure. And this is a country that much of the West is dedicated to protecting. They occupy probably the biggest foreign lobbying group in the US, and we send them billions of dollars and billions of pounds of aid every year, and this is the kind of security they're paying for themselves. They say this fundamental surprise caught the units on the front line in an impossible position of inferiority, low preparedness, moderate fitness, and missing weaponry. I think this might be something you mentioned. Almost none of the troops were equipped with hand grenades, much less anti-tank missiles, nor did they have enough machine guns. Hamas's operational analysts were smart enough to locate every route for reinforcing the area under assault, and the terror organization deployed ambushes in critical locations that delayed the arrival of reinforcements. Now, I believe that because of all of these failures, the Lieutenant General of the IDF is stepping down. He's resigning because he's saying that this was such a complete, horrific failure on his part to inform the battalions and the companies who should have known that they were under direct threat of being assaulted, as is what happened. And they're getting somebody else in now. But it's very, very interesting, again, when you pair this up with the fact that they had access to the plans in at least as early as 2022, according to this.
What, the plans for October 7th?
Yes.
I know I can be accused, it could be said I'm being distasteful, but how suspicious are you, or is it too cynical of me to think it was deliberate? You like the failure.
I think that's a fair question.
The failure to pass down the intelligence,
because there are a few other things.
That's all you need to do often to create a false flag or to create an incident, is just simply allow something to happen. Like before now, I've said I thought that 9/11 was an inside job. And people say, you're mad. Those 19 terrorists, we know they were like Egyptian, Jordanian, Saudi Arabian. Of course,
that's not what you mean.
Of course they're not CIA assets. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think they are.
No, of course.
I think they were genuine Islamists, but they were just allowed to do it. Like the fact that Jack Ruby was allowed access to Lee Harvey Oswald.
I think
the fact that Hamas were allowed
it's a bit like that sport, whatever it is, the one where somebody throws something on ice and then people just scrub in front.
Curling.
Yeah, curling. It's that. Like, I'm not suggesting the CIA act through the curl. I'm saying they scrubbed the thing in front.
I do think it's a fair question to ask, and because people always get squeamish talking about this particular nation, I think it's fair to point out that this is not something that would be unique to Israel's government. This is something that governments do, because governments in the modern era are almost explicitly, most of the time, against the representative wishes of the people and willing to do heinous things to advance their own plans. And what has been going on at the same time, well, since Assad has been kicked out of Syria. They've claimed territory in Syria while all of this is going on. They've started to claim more territory from the West Bank. They're bulldozing Gaza. Donald Trump, I think they're in a ceasefire at the moment, and they have put some kind of food blockade to the Gazans who are still in the territory right now to try to force them to accept the peace deals that they have put forward, which is essentially what Donald Trump has agreed to, which is just relocate all of them and pave over Gaza and turn it into some kind of Sunset Strip casino base.
Taken bits of Lebanon, forced the issue with Iran, which is something Nettie has always coveted.
And prior to this, Netanyahu is still in the middle of a huge corruption trial that started all the way in 2020 that had to be postponed for a time.
Well, at least we know this report won't be corrupt.
Yeah, at least we know that.
This one definitely won't be a whitewash, definitely.
Yeah. And it does, because Netanyahu's been trying to, buy positive media coverage for himself for ages. These are the charges that he's been charged with. A number of other charges as well, including accepting tens of thousands of dollars of cigars and champagne from a Hollywood billionaire producer, which, to be fair, is a pretty cool bribe to take. It's true. Yes. I wouldn't say no.
I don't mind being convicted of bribery as long as the bribe was a cool one.
Yeah, exactly. If someone gave you like $10,000 of cigars, are you saying no?
Yeah, I hate cigars. But still, shampoos. I'll take the shampoo.
You take the shampoo.
Champagne.
Do you need that?
I call champagne shampoo sometimes for a laugh.
Okay, just because you miss it.
I'll take the shampoo.
You've not had to say that word in too long.
I don't actually buy much actual shampoo, yeah. Don't need to.
Islander issue 3 is now available to purchase from shop.lotus.com and is the next step in the story that we are telling with this magazine. For this issue, we have collected piercing and esoteric essays from the finest right-wing minds on the theme of our civilizational winter. Each of our authors is an expert in bringing forth the most important hidden revelations from the lowest reaches of the soul, and it has all been beautifully rendered in a medievalist revivalist aesthetic. For this issue, I commissioned a new translation of the ancient Anglo-Saxon poem, The Wanderer, and have written a companion essay exploring how it is a reflection of our modern experience. I personally feel that this is the most important thing I've ever written, so I will be looking forward to your feedback on it. We have resolved our distribution issues, with the magazines being printed in advance of the orders, so we can guarantee that you will receive your copy very soon after ordering it. And you will also receive emailed updates so you can see exactly where it is. Hopefully, issue 3 can provide you with the space and context to engage in deep reflection about the nature of our circumstances, to discover hidden truths about yourself and find the resolve to make it through our spiritual exile.